sort of deal may have been done, because key to all this, as we know, is the Democratic Unionists who want confirmation about their security within the UK come Brexit. And Laura Kunsberg is just saying that the Prime Minister and Arlene Foster, who leads the DUP, are said to have talked through the night. Substantial progress was agreed. There you are, that's the scene we've got for you in Brussels. We're waiting for that to kick into life. But a substantial progress was made overnight, according to the DUP. Their concern about having this visible border in the Irish Sea, well, that's been eased by changes to the text, we're told. They also say they would have liked greater progress on other areas, but Theresa May decided there was enough progress made to go ahead. So they obviously feel that they've reached sufficient progress, as it's described, to get to the stage in which they can start talking about future trade relations. And Cornelia, that is, at this point, that is the absolute everything, isn't it? Let's not pretend anything is tied up and there's a bow and it's all pretty and sorted. No. But at least now, that is the bottom line. That is the bottom line, and it's very good for the Prime Minister to say, look, I hear you, DUP, and I obviously live partly, you know, at your pleasure because they prop up the government. But enough is enough. Yes, yeah. But enough is enough. And, you know, it is for, as a British national, you know, I deeply care about this country, and if we don't get to trade talks and to looking at the transition period, our economy will fall off a cliff. I mean, it's really terribly serious. So it is very heartening that we seem to be getting there. And the good thing is that the wording on the EU side is reasonably fuzzy, because you have to have made sufficient progress. I think with all, there's nobody in the EU that can now say that the Prime Minister hasn't made enough effort. Well, there's an aide to Jean-Claude Juncker has tweeted a puff of white smoke, indicating, obviously, a rather clear indication that a decision has been reached, which would be something. We're waiting for the news conference. But it is extraordinary, isn't it, that over the issues of EU citizens and their rights post-Brexit within the UK and the other way, on the divorce bill, the sum of money, and now on the Irish border, you still need these critical pinch points for real progress to be made. Well, that's absolutely right, and I understand the EU on this side, because, you know, if you're David Davis, you can go and speak to the Prime Minister, and she then has to speak to her cabinet and to Arlene Foster. But if you are Michel Barnier, you have 27 bosses, 27 governments, and the EU Commission, and the Council, and the Parliament. So he has about 30 bosses. You do need due process, and you do need to say, okay, you need to have an order of running. Otherwise, it will all unravel. You can't do everything at all time if you have 30 bosses. Well, you make a very important point, and I think Theresa May meets the man who represents, at the moment, the member states before they will make their own call at the Council Summit. That's Donald Tusk. They are due to meet, I believe, in the next 30 minutes or so. We'll wait to see if that's happening. Sorry, just got another line. It's all coming in, firing into us at the moment. Reuters quoting the European Commission, nothing more defined than that, saying sufficient progress made in Brexit talks. So you're sighing with relief. I don't know if it's just so that we can put this to bed for a little bit, or if that's perhaps your perspective on the situation. It's my perspective, because my perspective is, if we don't, we have to get to these trade talks. Look, businesses, if you talk to the big banks, if you talk to Deutsche Bank, if you talk to the big insurers, they tell you they have to make a decision January, February, the latest, as to how many people and operations they want to keep here and how much they have to move overseas. So they do need to see progress. And of course, one of the points the EU has been making through the Commission is, well, we want to know what sort of arrangement you do want UK. And interestingly, Arlene Foster of the DUP has said in the course of all this batting back and forth, we have assurances that we will not be in either the customs union or the single market as well. So it's more clarity. Well, that's going to be a battle with a good number of... oh, hang on, I think we're going to interrupt there, because guess who's turned up at the European Commission? Theresa May and Jean-Claude Juncker are just about to tell us what they have achieved.
Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, this morning Prime Minister May and I had a meeting to take stock progress since we met on Monday. I will not hide that in between Monday and this morning we had a lot of talks. The Prime Minister, myself, the Taoiseach and myself, the Taoiseach and the Prime Minister, and that's the reason why